Welcome once again to the EXPANSE community where we have honest conversation. So, from the previous episode, we started some conversation. So, on this episode of No Caps, we're going to be talking about vulnerabilities and insecurities that men often tend to face. So, my guys here on the panel, I mean, let's just call it a panel. Of course, it's just a conversation within guys here. So, there are certain insecurities and vulnerabilities that we guys often tend to experience or even have to face in relationship or even in life, I mean, as a whole. But then it's obvious we tend to cover these vulnerabilities and insecurities. So let's just put it to the table about, I mean, putting the question of what are those particular insecurities that we've probably seen with a lot of young men facing, or maybe if you personally experience some of them, and as well as what should we do or what we tend to do when we realize that we are probably facing those vulnerabilities. So I think we should start with Silas.
For me, I think it's important that we make a bit of distinction between the two, insecurities and then vulnerabilities. Sometimes they seem to be interchangeable, but at the same time, I think it helps to kind of distinguish the two. So insecurities sometimes are just those things people are concerned about, oftentimes about themselves or the other person or the state of their relationship. It could be informed through or by anxiety, for instance. Whereas vulnerability in itself, it's just a state of openness or communication within the relationship, and oftentimes it tends to deal with issues like insecurities, secrets, worries, things that people would not normally, emotions too, things that people would not normally or be readily willing to share with most persons. So I think vulnerability should be looked at in that light. Then insecurities are just those things people tend to worry about. There are quite a number of things that people are insecure about, and for guys, oftentimes because of the societal expectation, like the guy is supposed to be the provider, guys would definitely have a lot of insecurities, insecurity in regard to money,
Huge
their
one.
job,
Huge one.
their social status, things, possession, things related to that.
Okay, so I think we should go with Orion.
Well, just like you said, money is one of the main insecurities a lot of guys face.
Yeah.
And then that lack of financial stability can also bring about a lack of self-worth, because a lot of people place self-worth with finance. The more money you have, the more social status you have, the more worth, the more meaning you feel you have to your life. So once because the guy naturally feels like his main and ultimate goal is to be able to take care of his family, provide for his wife and his kids. And if he's not in a position that is able to do this, it will eat him up, and it will just make him feel like he's incapable. Especially when there are situations when you're trying to find a job and then you are not able to get, or you're working, and no matter what, it's not just enough. Your children are like, oh, I need this. Your wife is like, you need this, and then you're just like, how come I can't, just make anything happen? It can bring about that lack of just that
Self-worth.
just self-worth, lack of self-worth, the damage to yourself. But this is another main insecurity I think guys face.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll probably put to the table job security. I think that's one huge thing that a lot of people face, especially people who might be tending the path or the route of research or working in the academia. Because number one is, of course, we know it's always a risk, and it's like there's nothing so sure about you getting something. But then when it comes to research, you're not so sure about how long you're going to hold the job, because most times it could be contract based. Now you have to start thinking, how long can you really, or how long would this in particular sponsor or fund yourself, fund the family? Well, I know there are certain researches or certain projects that would bring, amount of money, huge amount of money, but then it's not secure, because once you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
Especially maybe if you're just being hired by an institute. I know there are people, maybe they're just professors or like main researchers in an institute. Man, that might be something else. But then in most cases, I mean, scenario, you see people are just being hired for a particular project because they know they're a researcher, you don't have a particular. So it's more like saying like a freelancer, something like that. So I would say that's another insecurity that men always have to face. And then talking about vulnerability, I think what I would say about vulnerability, the most important one is emotion for men. Maybe what I've seen, yeah, with a lot of men is that emotion. We tend to cover our emotions a lot. I also understand the fact that, as men and for women, we have different dynamics. The way we think, the mindset is totally different. And it's obvious that men are often less in tune with emotions. And that could also be because ego, I mean, man ego, we know that as well. So we often want to cover that emotion of maybe not wanting to be termed as being weak or wanting to show a level of confidence, or maybe because there are times where I've seen a lot of men wanting to cover their emotions because they are seeing other people depending on them. So expressing that emotion might show that maybe they're not confident enough.
I'll, you go first.
Let me just take you on that because they've talked much about insecurities.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about vulnerabilities. Speaking from personal
Yeah.
experience, it's only in recent times that I find it a little easy, let me just put it that way, to even express myself. And there's a reason for that. Take, for example, if I miss my girlfriend, sometimes I might find it difficult to tell her that I do miss her. And the reason is that sometimes there's this mindset we have thinking that the other party, that's the lady in this situation, could exploit you because of that. I mean, they could take advantage of the fact that, I mean, I'm not saying this is real, but sometimes you just tend to think about it. That you telling them you miss them or how much you love them or, how much you cannot, you can't do without
Why
them.
are
You
men
can
not
do.
so romantic? Why are men not really romantic?
No, men have, but it's just that sometimes, like, we've seen situations where, when the lady feels that, I mean, personally, I have seen it,
Yeah.
where the lady knows that you love her so much and you could do just little. I will not say nothing, but you could just do little without her. And then because of that, they feel that they can just do whatever they like. And because of that, sometimes you find men tend to withdraw
Yeah.
a bit and then less willing to really,
I think it's.
become
I
vulnerable
think that
in
must
this
also be
situation.
because we tend to value space.
Not just
Not
that, men value
necessarily.
space because we just
I
value
think
space.
everyone values
Everyone
space.
values
But it's
space.
very
Yes.
common with we men. We always want space. We
True,
always
true.
want
But it's
space.
not. It's not because of vulnerability. It's just the way we're. Maybe well, I say the way we're wired. At some point, no matter what you're doing, at some point you just want. I just want to be alone right now. I would just want to lie
Yeah.
down and you just need that freedom or kind
Yeah.
of stuff. I don't think it has to do
I could
anything
think
with
I could think of a couple of ladies
vulnerability.
who also would like their
Oh
space.
yes, I know a
I
lot
Okay.
of
mean,
ladies.
sometimes you
Sure.
could
Sure.
become choking
True, true, true.
when you do all these things. But again, speaking about vulnerability, another thing is this. Let's think about
Yeah.
secret for an
Huge
example.
one.
I think in the world we live in, people have to be extremely careful even before you share. It's painful before you even share secrets with your partner in this case, because sometimes, I mean, you really have to know the person you are dealing with. You
Yeah.
really have to know. You must have come a long way before you could
Yeah, because I was gonna say let's
feel
put some
confident.
context to it. If it's in the
Yeah,
context of relationship or in the context of marriage,
yeah,
because in the context of marriage, I think there's no reason to hide something from a partner in the context of marriage.
marriage. Yeah,
But then in the context of relationship, like you said, we should have. I mean, we've gone
Takes
a
time.
long way
yeah.
to know that. Okay, yeah, this person. Yeah, yeah. So
Because
you can continue.
I have seen situations where people would take advantage of that. I mean, it looks more like a blackmail at some point. Yeah, it feels that way at some point. I mean, I have seen people experience that. And so when we talk about vulnerabilities, these are certain things to consider before you. I think one of the reasons why people find it difficult to become vulnerable, especially the men, and you also have to think about the ego of we human beings. So when you
Of
put
course.
that into context,
Sure.
then you can understand the way things are.
If I may say something,
Yeah.
I feel that the lifeblood of any relationship is trust,
Yeah, absolutely.
and we can only build trust based on maybe a number of things, but two important things is character and then communication.
Sure.
I guess there is, like he rightly said, the stages of a relationship does matter, do matter rather. As people get along with one another, as they get deeper in their communication, I think it comes naturally to be able to reveal what one is thinking about, what one is concerned about, what should be said. And I just feel that there's a need for discretion, alluding
Sure.
to what he said. From what I've seen, from what I've heard, on social media and all of that,
Social world.
there's this push for men to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's like
Open up.
ladies
Don't
are
hold back.
increasingly demanding for it. But I think speaking from a guy's perspective, a lot of that push is unnecessary.
Okay.
Guys don't process things the same way ladies do,
Very true.
right? And I feel that you shouldn't push someone to be vulnerable with you. What you should do is create an environment, like a safety net, so to speak, a safe space,
Yeah.
whereby the fellow, I think
It
goes
both
both
ways.
ways,
Makes it even
right?
easier to open up.
Whereby the person feels that if I share what is bothering me, if I share this past experience, this trauma that I experienced some time ago or something like that, this person won't use it against me,
Yeah.
either currently in the relationship or
Even
let's say
outside.
things go
Things, yeah,
south
yeah, go
even
south,
after,
that's right.
because sometimes people weaponize
Yeah.
secrets shared. In fact, even within the current relationship, I've heard people who would say, for instance, they had an issue. Maybe the guy had an issue. Maybe he was unfaithful, or he did something silly or something like that. And then there's days, weeks, months after that incident, there's a fight, there's a crisis, and then out of the blue, the lady brings
That is very,
what the guy did in the past,
Yeah.
and
that
then
is very
just
common.
Yeah.
drops it like a bomb.
It is very common.
And so that's one of the reasons why guys usually tend to be more reserved about sharing. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that don't keep back. What you know is crucial
Yeah.
to the health of the relationship and for the sake of that person. For instance, you shouldn't, let's say, get married, for instance, and then find out something critical that you should have known or that might have swayed your decision prior to.
But it's not possible
choosing.
to know everything.
You can't know anything, but sometimes people hold back. So let me give a practical example. Health, for instance.
Yeah.
So let's say someone has an ailment in their body, which, let's say, for a very practical example, could affect their reproductivity, if that's a word.
Yeah.
That's not something you should hide.
Sure.
That's something.
That's clear stance in that.
Yes, that's something you have to communicate. If you feel it's going to be a deal breaker, then let it break whatever deal there is. Okay, so it's good that it's fine that there could be insecurities, there could be vulnerabilities and whatnot, but it should be clear in the minds of the people in the relationship that there are certain things that whether you are comfortable sharing it or not, you have to communicate
Okay.
it.
So, but then, okay, I think Ori wanted to say something the other time.
But I think basically what I wanted to say is, like you said, both of you or three of you have said already, it takes time and you gradually begin to feel safe and then you begin to open up. Because the fear I think at the back of everybody's mind is whether or not you'll be exploited. Because I mean, those are the things we all keep deep inside. And for me to share it with you, I need to trust you enough. There needs to be that high level of trust, and it has to go both ways, And it comes with, like you said, communication, your character. You see this kind of person, how they handle situations. They just hear something and then you use it against other people, and you will know that such a person I can't, be open or be vulnerable, allow myself to be vulnerable with. So I think basically those are the main things. And another reason guys or people say guys are not really vulnerable. Guys are vulnerable, I think, more within each other, within men to men, because of the way like you're vulnerable with your woman now, and the way she would, her perception of the whole situation would be, you are saying A and she's saying Z.
Yeah.
So that is something that it can be frustrating, and it's not just, I'm not just going to do like, oh, it's women that have problems. No,
Sure.
it can be both ways. Sometimes women express their vulnerabilities like maybe about it. You know, sometimes women need reassurance. They don't need.
Thank you.
They don't need
Emotion,
solution.
emotional availability.
You would say, okay, this is the problem. Then let us solve the problem now. But she wants. So for her, it can be frustrating. I just need you to reassure me. So sometimes they might not want to, because I just don't want to have to be explaining myself. So for both parties, sometimes it's because we are wired differently. So some things just you can't just, you will say, but you are not really expecting much. So most times you would be more vulnerable on those situations with your close guy friends, or she with her female friends. Then she will tell you because she has already gotten the support she needed from her friends. So she's just telling you, so there's communication and openness in the relationship. So in that situation, it might seem like you're not really vulnerable, but then you are vulnerable. Just it depends with who at what point, based on what situation and what you want to be vulnerable about.
So I think we can as well link that to what you said. It's more about emotional availability as well as the safe space, because now we're thinking about someone would desire to be vulnerable with someone who has created a space and who is emotionally available. And then you would decide, okay, well, because that's what it happens to a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of us would prefer to, okay, I just walk up to my guys. My guys would understand better, or my guys would give me what I'm expecting. But then when it comes to ladies, like what you said, I mean, there's this fear we have, like, maybe they might build a leverage on it, or maybe if someone's partner might build a leverage on it later on. But then, if we think about it, well, I think it's also because females or ladies want us, women always want us to open up more. I think we guys tend to bottle our emotions. I think that's one of the obvious things. We bottle emotions up, but then ladies really want us to open. So let me give an example. Ladies would always prefer guys to say certain words like, okay, I'm down today. I'm not really good today. So it led me to a point whereby when I ask some of my very close friends, I'd ask them, "Are you doing today?" And when they answer, "I'm fine," now ask them the question again. Now let's put it on a scale of 1 to 10 without using 7. How are you really feeling?
Without using 7.
Because of course, without using 7. 7 is like the average where you don't want to go too high, you don't want to go too low. You go for 7. So I always want to ask them, how are you really feeling today? Let's put it on a scale of 1 to 10. If you pick 6, so what is really happening? Just to get information. But then it seems like with the ladies, we just like, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm okay. But ladies really want us to open up. And then when we check the flip side of the coin, we want ladies to open up to us. We want them to be free with talking to us, but we don't give that back in response. So that's the challenge.
It's not like we just want to bottle up. The mechanism of the male, body or the brain is completely different. Women like, if a woman feels that she wants to handle her feelings first, then go about doing. A man will just put the feeling aside and do what he needs to. Then when he's done, he will come back and talk about the feeling. So in the moment of it, I'm like, I just need, my brain is on this thing. That is what it is. And so in that moment, you're not even thinking about the thing to be able to articulate it and even talk about it. You get?
Sure.
But she wants to talk about, and sometimes they might even want you to, like, reaction. Maybe she said, "Oh, my friend did it," and then you don't say the friend is a bitch, and then she will be, you're not even giving the right reaction to support the stuff she's feeling. You get? So we don't really operate in our feelings so much that we need to just be communicating it that much. Not because we don't have feelings, not because we understand we have feelings, we articulate, we can put them aside when we need to and come back to talk. So I think it's that lack of understanding that maybe some ladies have, that it's not like we don't want to talk, we just need to understand that if there is a problem or something else that has to be done, he will probably do that first before coming to talk. So you give him the time. And for the woman, you need to understand that she wants to talk. So if she has a problem, listen, just let her talk. She wants to
I like
express
that. I
the
like
whole
that.
thing.
You don't have to be giving her facts. Like, oh, but it's
But
obvious.
I mean,
You can't.
sometimes you can't help but give the facts.
But you can't. I've realized that we can't deal with ladies like that. I mean, if the lady's coming to, lament on something that she's really going through, a lot of ladies really do not want we guys to tell them, oh, but you know it's obvious. You can't. You can't. I mean, sometimes we can't deal with ladies like that. I mean, if the lady's coming to, lament on something that she's really going through, a lot of ladies really do not want we guys to tell them, oh, but you shouldn't be crying on this. I mean, this is fact. You can't tell them. You have to like, okay, yeah, I understand, man. It's understand. You have to really, really, dance to their music.
Yeah.
Sometimes they also need a listening ear, not someone who's going to talk back.
True.
Just listen.
Yeah.
I think that works
I
as well.
think most of the time is actually the listening here, because in the process of them expressing themselves, I mean, you hear a lot of people saying they will find the solution to what they need, or they just want to talk. They
That's
just want
right.
to express their
Yeah.
emotion. But we would express it when we are ready.
Yeah.
So I think they should be willing to. They should understand that when we say, like, if like for a guy says I'm okay, he's literally okay. He does not. If a woman says I'm okay, then and then you probe, then she can send you 2 pages of how she's feeling. So if a guy says I'm okay. If a guy says I just want to play game, the only thing in his brain is he wants to play. There's no hidden feeling somewhere that is not expressing. So guys are just playing, and
Sure.
if he wants to express, he would come later.
Yeah.
So they should be that understanding.
Yeah, if you would permit me, and I'll be alluding to what he said much earlier, the way women process things and think about it is different. But the point I'm trying to make is this, that men derive a different kind of energy
Yes.
when they talk about their issues with other men
Yeah.
that women cannot give.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes ladies just can't appreciate that. Let me give an example. Just recently, I was reading a thread on Instagram, or I guess it was from Twitter, wherever. The idea is this, that something terrible happened to some people, and then some friends made light of what happened. But by just, jesting and joking
Yeah.
about what happened, it changed their own mood. So for guys, it's easier to relate in that way.
Yeah.
But a lady cannot be going through
That's right,
something
that's right.
bad,
And you gaslight.
and you just make light of it, or you just throw in a
You're
joke.
looking for trouble.
You are sending, So, and in fact, based on where some of us come from,
Yeah.
you would realize that guys would call their friends names.
Yeah.
Oh, you this, you that, and it's like,
It's just a regular thing.
yeah, but there's that energy, that vibe that they are passing to one another by just doing that. Oh, look at his head, look
Yeah.
at this, look at
Yeah, you
that.
could break your leg and you break your leg.
Yeah, but you cannot do the
Yeah,
same.
you can't do the same.
Guys are a little guarded because, and it's also for good reason. You have to be mindful of who you are talking to. There was another experience. There was a day we were having a chat with one of our friends who happened to be a lady, and then I was going to make a comment,
Oh, yeah.
but I, didn't.
You refrain from
I
doing
refrained
Yeah.
from making that comment, but I said what I wanted to say in a very positive way.
Yeah.
Now going back, and I reflected on what I had wanted to say, and I realized that it would have been damaging to her. No matter how much I tried to contain, explain, and all of that, the mere utterance of what I had wanted to say. It's like when you're saying the exact opposite of something
Sure.
to someone, which is like an attribute about them or their ability. Women will just know, but if you say the same thing to a guy, you are fine.
Yeah, sure.
At the end of the day, I think beyond how men are wired or how ladies are wired,
Sure.
or all those whatnot, the most important thing is this. I think, and I think it goes both ways. It has to do with, like you rightly said, trust and understanding. You have to understand how to deal with each other, and you also have to be able to trust each other. So that I think at any point in time you could share your secrets or your vulnerabilities or insecurities or whatever. You can handle it, but those two factors are very important: trust and understanding. So that even when I'm dealing with a fellow guy or I'm dealing with a lady, those two factors have to be in view. I must be able to trust you and to understand how to deal with you or how we deal with each other.
Sure.
So that's what I think. Yeah.
All right, so I think we're gonna wrap it up here because of our time. All right, so make sure you subscribe to our channel, like and share, and we'll see you on the next episode. See you.